Thunder rumbled over Atlanta. Deep, so deep it felt like the city itself was groaning. It was November 12th, just past midnight. The rain wasn't just falling, it was an assault. Ice cold, unforgiving. I pulled my thin jacket tighter around my 5-year-old son, Zion. I tried to shield him from the wind tearing through the downtown bus terminal. He'd cried himself to sleep hours ago. His face was still streaked with tears. His small body shivered against mine. We had nowhere to go. 3 hours earlier, my mother-in-law threw us out. Celeste. The heavy iron gate of their 3-story house slammed shut. A house I had scrubbed for 3 years. My father-in-law, Ellis, just stood at the window. He watched. His silence was louder than her screams. The reason? Zion knocked over her porcelain vase. An accident. That's all she needed. "Get out!" she shrieked. Her voice was pure venom. "You're worthless, a parasite. You and that boy are burdens on this family." She tossed my battered suitcase on the lawn, my clothes scattered in the mud. For 3 years, ever since my husband Sterling vanished on a business trip to Chicago, I'd been their servant. I worked at a fulfillment center. I handed her every single paycheck. I endured every insult. She called me a jinx who killed her son. I swallowed it all. I believed I was keeping my promise to Sterling. "Take care of my parents," he'd said. I was a fool. I looked down at Zion. Where could we go? My parents were in a tiny town in Mississippi. Too old, too frail. I was 28 years old, a widow, a mother, and I was utterly alone. I looked up at the dark sky. My tears mixed with the rain. "Sterling," I whispered, "where are you? Please, help us." And then, a beam of light cut through the rain. A sleek, black Cadillac Escalade purred to a stop right in front of my bench. Its engine was a low growl, completely out of place in this part of the city. The dark-tinted window lowered. My heart stopped. It was Jordan, Sterling's younger sister. I hadn't seen her in 3 years, not since the funeral. Back then she was 19, a rebellious girl with a sneer. She always looked at me with resentment. The woman staring at me now was different. She wore an expensive black suit, dark red lipstick, sunglasses. Even though it was the middle of the night, she looked powerful, cold, rich. "Get in," she said. Her voice was flat, not a question, a command. I flinched. I pulled Zion closer. Was this another trap? Had Celeste sent her? What are you doing here?" I stammered. Jordan sighed, impatient. She took off her sunglasses. Her eyes were sharp, like her mother's, but they held something else. Sadness. "Amara, I'm not my mother. I'm not here to hurt you." She leaned across the passenger seat. Her gaze softened just a fraction as she looked at my sleeping son. "Now, get in the car. I need to tell you something. A secret. A secret about Sterling."
A secret about Sterling. My husband. My heart, frozen solid, started to pound. So hard I could feel it in my throat. Everything I thought I knew was about to change. Before I tell you what that secret was, before I tell you how one car ride unraveled a conspiracy darker than I could imagine, I want to pause. Say hello. I know you're out there, maybe on your own cold night, feeling a little lost. My name is Amara, and this is the story of how I took my life back. If you're already invested in this story, if you believe justice must be served, hit that like button. It lets me know you're here with me. And subscribe, because the truth I'm about to reveal, you won't want to miss it. The Cadillac was silent as it cut through the rainy Atlanta night. The warmth from the heaters felt strange, almost wrong after the cold of the bus station. Zion breathed softly beside me, finally warm. I stared at the back of Jordan's head. My mind raced. A secret about Sterling? What could she possibly know? She didn't drive to a house. She drove to Buckhead, the wealthiest part of the city. She pulled into the underground garage of a glass high-rise. "Where are we?" I whispered. "A safe house," she said, cutting the engine. "A friend of Sterling's. You're safe here." She led me to an apartment on the 25th floor. It was beautiful, sterile, empty. A floor-to-ceiling window overlooked the glittering, rain-slicked city. "You and Zion can rest here," she said, placing a key on a glass table. "There's food in the fridge." I gently laid Zion on the soft leather sofa. I covered him with my jacket. Then I turned to her. My patience was gone. "I don't want to rest," I said. My voice shook. "I want to know. You said you had a secret about Sterling." Jordan looked at me. Her expression was unreadable. She walked to her designer bag. She pulled out a small digital audio recorder, tossed it on the table. "You're right. You deserve to know." She paused. "I've been busy for 3 years, Amara. I never believed that plane crash was an accident." She looked out the window. Her voice dropped. For the first time, the ice cracked. "Sterling was the only person in that family who ever loved me," she said. Her back was to me. "Mom, Celeste, she hated me. I was the daughter, not the second son she wanted. She called me a failure, unruly, a waste of space. Sterling protected me. He took the blame when I broke things. He shielded me from her rages. When he vanished, I was the only one who didn't believe it. Our parents were sad, yes, but they were also relieved. Their grieving felt fake, too shallow. So I ran away. I got a job. I saved every dollar, and I hired a private investigator." I sank into a chair, stunned. This wasn't the rebellious girl I remembered. This was a woman on a mission. "What did you find?" "She found this." She pressed play on the recorder. A voice filled the room. Faint, tinny, but I recognized it instantly. Celeste. The recording was dated June 4th, 2024. Just last year. "Stop worrying about her, Ellis. She's worthless. A country bumpkin. It's a blessing I let her stay this long. My son is dead. She's worthless. She and that boy are just hungry mouths feeding off my house. Sterling's inheritance belongs to us. I won't give that woman a single dollar." The recording clicked off. I sat there, frozen. My hands clenched so tight my nails cut into my palms. She'd been planning to kick me out for years. "She's a monster," I whispered. The hatred rose in my throat. "She's worse than that, Amara," Jordan said. She walked back to her purse, pulled out a thin leather folder. "They didn't just hate you. They robbed you." My hands trembled as I opened it. The first page was a bank statement. Sterling's private savings account, dated November 1st, 2022, 1 week before his flight. I saw the entry, my vision blurred. A single withdrawal, $200,000. "That's his entire savings," I whispered. "He told me that was for Zion's college." "Look at the authorization signature," Jordan said. It was Ellis's, my father-in-law. "Sterling gave him access in case of emergencies," Jordan said. "Dad decided this was one." "But where did it go?" Jordan slid out a second paper, a different bank statement. "Here, into a high-risk offshore trading account opened November 2nd, 2022, belonging to Celeste Vance." My mind couldn't connect the pieces. Celeste? $200,000? "She was gambling, Amara," Jordan said, "secretly, for years. She thought she was a stock market genius. She lost it.
All of it. The entire $200,000 gone in less than 72 hours, a week before my brother's plane went missing.
The room tilted. The rain outside, the city lights, everything faded. The last 3 years, the scrubbing, the insults, the poverty, it was all a lie. They weren't grieving. They were covering their tracks. They did this, I whispered. The horrible truth formed. They stole his money, and when Sterling found out, they got rid of him, Jordan finished. Her voice was ice. That's what I believe. That business trip was no accident. It was a cover-up. And you weren't a jinx. You were a loose end. You and Zion had legal claim to the money they'd already stolen and lost. I sank onto the sofa. The documents fell in my lap. I felt sick. We have to go to the police, I said. With what? Jordan shook her head. A secret recording? An old bank statement? They'll say Sterling gave them the money, that he lost it. We have no proof of the connection, no proof of theft. We're missing the final piece. I put my head in my hands. Despair washed over me again. She was right. We had the motive, not the evidence. Amara, Jordan said. She knelt in front of me. Amara, listen. Sterling was smart, cautious. I know he would have left proof somewhere. Did he ever give you anything? A key? A letter? Anything strange? My head snapped up. The box, I whispered. What box? About a week before he left, I said. My voice trembled. It was our anniversary. He gave me the small carved wooden box. He called it a memory box. He made me promise to hide it, keep it safe. He said, if I can't return one day, open it. Everything you need to know is inside. Jordan's eyes lit up. Where is it? Where is that box, Amara? My heart sank. It's in that house. I hid it in the closet, under an old suitcase. In the bedroom. My old bedroom. The room Celeste kicked me out of tonight. She stood. She began to pace. We have to get it back. That's it. That's the proof. How? I cried. She just threw me out. She'll call the police if I even step on the lawn. We can't break in. She'll expect that. She stopped. She looked at me. A slow, cold, calculating look. No, you are going to go back. Are you crazy? I stood. She'll never let me in. She will, Jordan said. Her voice hardened. She will if you go back and beg her. I stared at her, horrified. Beg? After what she did? Yes, Jordan said. You're going to play the part she's always wanted, the repentant, worthless wife. You'll cry, you'll tell her you can't survive without her, you'll be her maid, her servant, anything, just to have a roof over Zion's head. You'll play the dumb country bumpkin she thinks you are. Her ego, her arrogance, she won't resist. She'll let you in just to humiliate you, and while you're scrubbing her floors, you'll find that box. My stomach turned. The idea of kneeling before that woman, begging her. I can't, I whispered. Yes, you can, Jordan said. She grabbed my arms. You're not doing it for you. You're doing it for Sterling, for the man they stole from us. You're doing it for justice. I looked at my son, sleeping peacefully. I thought of my husband, lost, betrayed. The hatred in my heart burned hotter than my pride. I nodded. Okay, I said. My voice was firm. I'll go back. I'll be her maid. And I will find that box. The next morning, I did the hardest thing I've ever done. I took Zion by the hand. Jordan had given us a few dollars for a taxi. I returned to that house. I stood outside the iron gate, the same gate Celeste slammed shut 36 hours before. I took a deep breath, looked at Zion, whispered, "I love you. Now watch Mommy." I pressed the intercom. Celeste's sharp voice crackled, "Who is it?" I pitched my voice to sound broken, weeping. "Mama, it's Amara. Please, I have nowhere to go. It's so cold." The speaker was silent. I knew she was watching from the window. I fell to my knees on the wet pavement, pulled Zion close, let the tears come. "Please, Mama, I was wrong. I'll do anything. I'll be your maid, clean the floors. Please don't let my son freeze. I'll sign any papers. I can't make it alone." It was a gamble. A desperate, humiliating gamble on her ego. I waited. 1 minute, 2. Finally, I heard the heavy, metallic buzz of the gate unlocking. She took the bait. When I stumbled through the front door, Celeste stood in the foyer, arms crossed, a look of triumphant pity on her face. "So," she sneered, "the world was too hard for you? You can crawling back." "Yes, Mama," I whispered, eyes on the floor. "I'm sorry. I'll do anything. Work. I won't be a burden."
"Good," she said. Her voice dripped with satisfaction. "Because you're not a guest anymore. You're staff. Your room is the attic. You'll be up at 5 a.m. to make my coffee. You won't go to bed until I say so. And that boy will stay out of my sight. Do you understand?"
Yes, Mama. Thank you, Mama." The words tasted like acid. The first part of the trap was set. I was in. My life became hell. Celeste was relentless. She'd accidentally spill coffee on floors I'd just mopped, then scream at me for being too slow. She'd inspect counters, run her finger along them. If she found a single crumb, I'd re-scrub the entire room. I was her slave. She enjoyed every minute. But every move I made was calculated. Every time I scrubbed floors, I mapped the house. Every time I dusted, I listened. Celeste had moved into the master bedroom, my old bedroom. It was the largest. The memory box, my last hope. It was in her territory now. Hidden in the closet she'd taken over. She kept the door locked, even when she was home. For 3 days, I waited. I was the perfect, obedient, broken gown maid. I cooked, I cleaned, I said, "Yes, Mama," and "Sorry, Mama." I was so convincing, she got careless. She started to brag. On the 4th day, a Friday, she was on the phone with a society friend. I was on my hands and knees, polishing the hardwood floor outside her study. I could hear everything. "Oh, you wouldn't believe it, darling," Celeste cackled. "She came crawling back, begging. It's pathetic. I've got her scrubbing grout with a toothbrush. It's the least she can do." My blood boiled, but I kept scrubbing. Then I heard the words I'd been waiting for. "Yes, I'm leaving now. I'll be at the club for bridge by 11. Ellis is at the golf course. The little parasite is finally being useful." This was it. They'd both be out.
I heard her heels click down the hall. She paused above me. "Don't forget the windows, inside and out," she spat. "I'd better be able to see my reflection." She left. I waited until I heard her car pull down the driveway. My heart pounded. I ran to the kitchen, grabbed a thin paring knife, sprinted up the stairs to my old bedroom. The door was locked, as expected. I jammed the knife into the gap, pushed against the old lock. It was flimsy. I put my shoulder into it. With a crack, the wood splintered. The door flew open. I didn't care. I ran straight to the closet. She'd thrown all my old things into a pile at the back. My suitcase was there, shoved onto the top shelf. I climbed onto a chair, My hands shook. I pulled the heavy case down, threw it on the bed, ripped it open. My worn clothes. And there, at the bottom, wrapped in velvet cloth, was the small carved wooden box. My hands trembled so hard I could barely open the latch. I lifted the lid. Inside was our wedding photo, but it wasn't empty. Underneath the photo was a small black USB flash drive taped to the bottom of the box. And underneath that, a letter, folded, from Sterling. "My dearest Amara," I read, my vision blurred with tears. "If you're reading this, I'm gone, and it means they betrayed us. I'm so sorry. I knew they were stealing from me. I confronted my father about the $200,000. He begged me to let it go. He said he was being blackmailed. And then I met him, a man named Victor Thorne." The letter explained everything.
Victor was the real mastermind. He was forcing my father-in-law to sell Sterling's eco-housing project. When Sterling refused, Victor gave an ultimatum: handle your son, or I'll handle your whole family. My blood ran cold. The business trip was a lie. My father-in-law handed his own son over to a monster to save himself. The letter continued. "Amara, I have to hide this. I've put all the evidence of Victor's crimes, bank transfers, land deeds, proof of his threats, onto this USB drive. But I know my father. He'll tear this house apart looking for it. So I'm leaving this box for you. But I'm putting the real USB drive, the one with everything, in the one place my mother would never dream of looking. It's taped to the underside of my old desk in the study. She's too proud to ever dust under there." It was brilliant, desperate. This USB in my hand was a decoy. The real one was still downstairs. I grabbed the decoy USB, stuffed the letter in my pocket, shoved the box back into the suitcase. I had just managed to get the case back on the shelf when I heard it. The crunch of gravel in the driveway. My blood turned to ice. She was back. She'd forgotten something. She was home early. I was trapped in her locked room. I was going to be caught. My plan, my life, Sterling's last hope. It was all over.
The sound of her car door slamming shot through me like a bullet. Celeste was back. I was trapped. In her locked room, the splintered door jammed screamed evidence, the suitcase open on her bed. My mind raced. I couldn't hide. The closet was too obvious. Under the bed, she'd find me. I was going to be caught. All of this, the humiliation, the planning, Sterling's last hope, would be for nothing. I heard her keys jingle at the front door. She was inside. I looked at the decoy USB in my hand, the broken door. I had maybe 30 seconds. Panic was a luxury I couldn't afford. I had to think. What was Celeste's greatest weakness? Her greed? Her paranoia? She cared more about money than anything. I had to use it. I shoved the letter into my pocket, the decoy USB into my bra. I threw the wedding photo back in the box, stuffed the box into the suitcase, heaved it back onto the shelf. It was messy, but I had no time. Now, the door. I couldn't just walk out. I had to make her believe she wasn't the hunter. She was the victim. I picked up the small, heavy chair from her vanity. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it would break my ribs. I took a deep breath. "Forgive me, Sterling," I whispered. And then I screamed. A raw, terrified, lung-shattering scream. "Thieves! Thieves! Mama, help me! He's in the house!" I heard her footsteps stop downstairs. What? What in God's name? I didn't wait.
I raised the chair, smashed it with all my strength against the already splintered door frame. The wood exploded outward into the hallway. It was loud, violent, convincing. I threw the chair down, ran out into the hall, my hair wild, eyes wide with fake terror. I scrambled down the stairs, collapsed at the bottom, just as she rounded the corner. "Mama!" I shrieked. I grabbed onto her legs. "He was here! A man! He broke in! He broke down your door!" Celeste's face went from confusion to pale, chalky white. Her eyes didn't look at me. They darted past me, up the stairs, toward her room. She wasn't worried about me. She was worried about her valuables. "What? What did he take?" she yelled. She shoved me aside, stormed up the stairs. I followed her, panting, playing the terrified victim. "I don't know, Mama. I was just coming up to dust, like you said. I heard a noise. The door was broken. I saw a man. He was rummaging through your closet. He jumped out the window when I screamed." This was the critical lie. By saying he jumped out the window, I gave her a reason why he was already gone. She burst into her room, ran straight to her jewelry box, ripped it open, frantically sifted through her necklaces. Then she dove to her mattress, lifted the corner, pulled out a bundle of cash. It was all still there. She let out a ragged sigh of relief. She turned to me, her face a mask of pure fury. "You useless girl! You let him get away! Did you see his face?" "No, Mama. It was too fast. He was in the closet. He was pulling at that old suitcase, the one you threw on the top shelf. He must have thought there was something valuable." Celeste froze. She looked at the closet, then at me. Her eyes narrowed. I could see the wheels turning. She was suspicious. "My suitcase? Why would he look in your old suitcase?" "I don't know, Mama. Maybe he thought it was yours? Maybe he thought money was hidden in it." That landed. Her greed and self-importance made it plausible. She huffed. "He must have been a stupid thief then. Nothing in there but your old rags." She was convinced. I was safe. "Well, don't just stand there crying," she snapped. Her confidence returned. "Go clean up the hallway. There's wood everywhere. Then call a locksmith. I can't have my door looking like that." I nodded, still sobbing, backed out of the room. "Yes, Mama, right away." I walked down the stairs. My body trembled, not from fear, from adrenaline. I'd done it. I'd escaped. She had no idea I'd just been in her room, that I'd found the box, that I had the decoy USB in my bra and Sterling's letter in my pocket. She thought she was the victim of a break-in. She had no idea she was a pawn in a much larger game. I survived. But as I swept up the wood splinters, a new cold dread settled over me. I had the letter, but I didn't have the evidence. The real USB drive was still in the house, hidden in his study, and I had no idea how I was going to get it.
The rest of that day was a master class in performance. I scrubbed the hallway on my hands and knees. My body trembled with manufactured fear. I found the broken lock piece, presented it to Celeste like a dead mouse, wept over how violated I felt. She berated the locksmith for taking an hour, complained her real valuables could have been stolen. She never once asked if I was okay. My fake break-in had an unintended, perfect side effect. It made Celeste paranoid. Not about me, about everything. She was convinced a stupid thief had cased her house. She became obsessed with security, checking the new locks every hour. But more importantly, she became obsessed with her study. The study was my father-in-law's room, where they kept all financial documents.
The real USB drive. I knew I had to get in. For 2 days, I waited. I was the perfect, invisible servant. I brought Celeste her coffee before she asked, scrubbed floors until they gleamed. I was so broken and obedient, I became part of the furniture. I was no longer a threat. The opportunity came Sunday afternoon. Ullis was out, checking on a property. Celeste was in the living room, on the phone, complaining about the incompetent police. "Amara!" she yelled, snapped her fingers. I ran from the kitchen, wiped my hands on my apron. "Yes, Mama?" "The study. It's disgusting. I haven't let the old cleaning woman in for weeks, not with all our important papers. But you're too stupid to know what you're looking at. Go in there, dust everything. And don't you dare touch a single paper on that desk." My heart leaped. "Yes, Mama, right away." She followed me to the study door, unlocked it. Her eyes watched like a hawk. "I'll be right here," she said. She sat in the armchair in the hall. "I'm watching you. Don't even think about snooping." I walked in, my pulse hammered. The room was dark, smelling of old paper and stale cigars. And there it was, his desk, Sterling's old mahogany desk. The USB drive was right there, just inches away, under that desk. But she was right there, watching me. I started dusting, slowly, methodically. I dusted the bookshelves, the windowsills, the lamp. I saved the desk for last. Celeste sat in the hallway, filing her nails, her eyes bored into my back. I needed a distraction, not a big one, just 10 seconds. I moved to the desk. "Mama," I said, my voice trembling slightly, "this wood is very dry. Do you have any polish?" She sighed, annoyed. "In the kitchen, under the sink. And don't you dare drip any on my rug." I went to the kitchen. My hands shook. I grabbed the can of polish, a rag, and then I saw it. A tall glass of water Celeste left on the counter. It was perfect. I brought the polish, the rag, and the glass of water back. "I brought you some water, Mama," I said, my voice full of false kindness. "Your throat sounded dry from the phone." She looked up, surprised, a little pleased by my subservience. "Well, fine. Put it on the table." I walked toward her, my heart in my throat. I held the glass out, and as I passed her, my foot caught on the edge of the rug. I stumbled, lurched forward. The entire glass of ice-cold water went all over her lap. "Ah!" she shrieked. She jumped out of the chair. "You clumsy, worthless idiot! This is silk! You've ruined it!" "I'm so sorry, Mama. I'm sorry," I cried, dabbed at her uselessly with the dry rag. "Get away from me," she yelled. She pushed me. "Ugh! It's freezing. I have to go change. You clean up this mess. And don't you move from that spot until I get back." She stormed off down the hall, toward her bedroom. This was it. The second she turned the corner, I didn't run. I dropped. I fell to my knees, dove under the desk. My hands flew over the dusty, unfinished wood. My fingers brushed against it. A small, hard plastic rectangle. Taped. Just as he'd said. I ripped the USB drive from the wood. It was black. It was real. I shoved it deep into my bra.
next to the decoy. I scrambled back out, grabbed the wet rag, was frantically sopping up water on the floor when her footsteps returned. She was back in less than 30 seconds, wrapped in a housecoat, her face a mask of thunder. "You are going to pay for that blouse," she hissed. "I'm so sorry, Mama," I whimpered, didn't look up. "I'm so sorry. Just get out of my sight. Finish the study and get out." She stomped back to the living room, too angry to watch me anymore. I finished dusting the desk, my hands steady now. I had it. I had the proof, the weapon that would bring her husband, and Victor Thorne to their knees. I spent the rest of the day in a blur of cleaning, my mind racing. I had the evidence, now I had to get it out. That evening, I waited for Celeste to be in the kitchen. I went to the attic, packed my one small battered suitcase, then walked downstairs. "Mama," I said, my voice small, shaky. She turned, annoyed. "What now?" "Mama, I'm scared." "Scared of what, you fool?" "The thief. I'm stammering. When I was in the study, I keep thinking about him. What if he comes back? I can't stay here. I'm too scared." Celeste rolled her eyes dramatically. "Oh, for heaven's sake, he's not coming back. He was a stupid junkie who got nothing." "I know, but I can't sleep here. Please, Mama. I have an old friend in the city. Just for a few days. Just until I'm not so scared. I'll come back. I promise, I'll come back and finish the windows." She stared at me. I could see her weighing the options. On one hand, she'd lose her maid. On the other, she'd be rid of my pathetic sniveling. "Fine," she finally snapped. "Go. I'm sick of looking at your long face anyway. But you be back here Monday, 6 a.m. sharp. Do you hear me?" "Yes, Mama. Thank you, Mama." I grabbed my suitcase, walked out the front door. Didn't look back. I didn't run. I walked, step by steady step, down the long driveway. When the iron gate closed behind me, I pulled out my phone. I dialed Jordan's number. She answered on the first ring. "Did you get it?" I looked at the house one last time. "I have it, Jordan. I have it all." "I'm on my way," she said. "It's time to end this."
Jordan was parked 2 blocks away, her black Escalade invisible in the shadow of an old oak tree. I ripped the car door open, jumped in, my hands shaking, my heart hammering. "Did you get it?" she asked, her eyes wide. I didn't say a word. I just opened my hand. The small black USB drive sat in my palm. A slow smile spread across Jordan's face. "You magnificent woman," she whispered. "Drive," I said, my voice hoarse. "Just drive." We went back to the safe house, the high-rise apartment on the 25th floor. My hands still trembled as Jordan plugged the USB drive into her laptop. "Elias, Sterling's friend, he's a tech genius. He gave me this," she said. She plugged in a second encrypted hard drive. "We make one copy only, then we burn them." The drive opened. It wasn't just a letter, it was everything. A folder labeled The Truth. Inside were subfolders. One labeled Victor Thorne, one Father, one Mother. We clicked on Mother first. It was a collection of screenshots, online stock forums, tracking Celeste's secret high-risk account. We watched, horrified, as Sterling's $200,000 was systematically invested into worthless penny stocks, liquidated in 72 hours. Then, Father. It was worse. Scanned copies of bank transfers, land conveyance contracts for the Alpharetta project, a final signed confession from my father-in-law, Ellis, detailing how Victor Thorne blackmailed him to sell his son's project.
He was trying to save himself, I whispered, disgusted. He saved himself by sacrificing his son, Jordan spat. Finally, we clicked on Victor Thorne. This was the kill shot. It wasn't just bank records, it was videos. Sterling had hidden a camera in his study. We saw video of Victor threatening Sterling. Another of Victor giving my father-in-law a plane ticket, a bag of money, ordering him to handle his son. And then the last file, a 20-minute audio recording of a phone call. It was Victor laughing with an unknown man about how the plane crash was a clean job. It was murder. It was all right here. I looked at Jordan. She wasn't crying. Her face was carved from stone. "We have them," she said. "We have them all." I picked up my phone. "Who are you calling?" Jordan asked. "The police? The FBI?" I said. My hand shook. "No," Jordan said. She put her hand on mine. "Not yet. You're forgetting who we're dealing with. Victor Thorne. He has judges in his pocket. He'll have this evidence buried in a day. We can't give this to the police. We have to bring the police to them." "How?" Jordan smiled. That same cold, calculating smile I saw in the car. "We're going to use the one thing they all care about. Money. Celeste is greedy. My father is a coward. We're going to set a trap, and we're going to make them confess." The next day, Jordan made a phone call. She didn't call Celeste. She called my father-in-law, Ellis, the weak link. "Dad," she said. Her voice dripped with fake panic. "Amara's gone. She ran away. But she took something. Dad, she took the USB drive from Sterling's desk, the one you were supposed to find." We heard him gasp over the speakerphone. "What? That's impossible. She has it," Jordan lied. "And she's going to the police, unless you give her what she wants. She says she wants $500,000 in cash tonight at the house, or she gives the drive to the FBI. 500, he stammered. I can't. Then get Victor to give it to you, Jordan screamed. You wanted to be in business with him? Then pay the price. Be at the house, 8 p.m., and bring Mom. Amara wants to see you both. Jordan hung up. Will they come? I asked. They have no choice, Jordan said. They'll come, and they'll bring Victor. That night, at 7:30 p.m., Jordan and I walked back into that house. We didn't sneak. Jordan used her old house cuddy. We weren't alone. With us was a man in a sharp suit. Jordan introduced him as Elias, Sterling's oldest friend, and as it turned out, one of the top corporate lawyers in Atlanta. You're not pressing charges yet, Elias explained. He set up a small recorder on the mantelpiece. You're two grieving family members conducting a private negotiation. Everything said here is admissible. Let them talk. Let them confess. The police are on standby 2 blocks away. At 8:01 p.m., headlights swept across the lawn. It wasn't just one car, it was 3. My father-in-law, Ellis, my mother-in-law, Celeste, and behind them, the man from the video, Victor Thorne. They walked in. Celeste's eyes were full of fire. You! She shrieked the moment she saw me. How dare you? Shut up, Celeste, Victor snapped. His cold eyes landed on me. You must be Amara. You've caused a lot of trouble. Where is it? It's safe, I said, my voice steady. Elias had coached me. It's in a cloud server, set to release to the FBI and every newspaper in Atlanta if I don't check in by 9 p.m.
Victor's eye twitched. Clever. What do you want? It's simple, I said. You stole my husband's project. You stole his money, and you took his life. That was an accident, Ellis stammered. The plane— Stop lying, I yelled. The rage I'd held for 3 years finally exploded. We have the audio file, Ellis. We have the video. We know Victor ordered you to handle your own son. Celeste's face went white. She looked at her husband. Ellis, what is she talking about? He didn't tell you? I laughed, a cold, bitter sound. He wasn't just stealing Sterling's money to pay for your gambling debts. He was being blackmailed by Victor. He sold his son's project. He delivered his own son to be murdered. Ellis! Celeste screamed. She turned on him. Is this true? Ellis just crumbled, sobbing. He was going to ruin us. I had no choice. You always have a choice, I said. Victor just watched, bored. Family drama. Pathetic. Fine, you have us. What's the price? The $500,000? Oh, we'll take the money, Jordan said. She stepped forward. But we want something else. We want the company, the Alpharetta project. You're going to sign it over, right now, to its legal heir, Sterling's son, Zion. You will give back what you stole. Victor laughed. And why would I do that? Because, Elias said. He stepped out of the shadows. The evidence I'm holding doesn't just prove murder. It proves 20 years of your tax evasion, money laundering, and racketeering. The $500K is for Amara, but the company? That's what keeps you out of federal prison for the rest of your life. Victor stared at Elias. The color drained from his face. He knew he was trapped. At 8:45 p.m., the papers were signed. The company, Sterling's life's work, was now in a trust for my son. The $500,000 was in a briefcase on the table. We had won. See, Victor sneered. He put his pen down. It's just business. Now, the drive. Of course, I said. I reached into my pocket, pulled out the decoy USB, the one I'd found in the box. I slid it across the table. It's all yours. He grabbed it. He, Celeste, and Ellis turned, walked out the door, defeated but arrogant. They're just leaving? I said to Elias. They are, Elias smiled. They're going to get to their car, plug in that drive, find it completely blank, and in about 10 seconds, we heard the front gate slam shut. And then the sudden, unmistakable sound of police sirens. Not one, a dozen. Flashing blue and red lights flooded the driveway. I ran to the window. Victor, Celeste, and Ellis were all standing by their cars, surrounded. You lied, Celeste shrieked. She looked back at the house. No, I whispered to myself. I didn't. Jordan and Elias never planned to let them go.
The call Jordan made to Ellis, it was recorded. The entire conversation we just had, recorded. The real USB drive with the real evidence was never in that briefcase. It was already in the hands of the FBI. Elias had delivered it 24 hours earlier. The decoy USB I gave to Victor, completely blank. They walked into a trap, and there was no way out. Within 48 hours, the arrests were made official. Victor Thorne was charged with conspiracy to commit murder, racketeering, money laundering, and tax evasion. Federal charges, no bail. My father-in-law, Ellis, was charged as an accessory to murder. He's currently serving 25 years in a federal prison in Alabama. And Celeste, my monster-in-law, she was charged with grand larceny, conspiracy, and obstruction of justice. She's serving 15 years. No more bridge games. No more society friends. Just a small cell and a whole lot of regret. The Alpharetta Eco-Housing Project, Sterling's life's work, was legally transferred to a trust in Zion's name. It's worth over $3 million today. My son will never have to beg for anything. Ever. 6 months after the trial, I stood in front of that house one last time. The iron gate. The same one that slammed shut on me that cold, rainy night. Jordan was with me. We weren't there to beg. We were there because the court had seized the property as part of Ellis and Celeste's restitution. And I bought it. Every single brick. I walked through that front door, not as a servant, as the owner. I went upstairs to the master bedroom, the room where I'd hidden Sterling's box, the room where I'd risked everything. I stood there for a long moment, and then I whispered, "We won, Sterling. We won." And you know what? If you've stayed with me this long, if you've felt every betrayal, every moment of fear, every second of triumph alongside me, then you're part of this victory too. Because stories like this, they matter. They remind us that no matter how powerless we feel, no matter how trapped, no matter how many people try to break us down, we can fight back. We can win. If this story moved you, if it made you feel something real, do me one favor. Hit that subscribe button. Because I have more stories to tell. Stories of people who refused to stay down. Stories of justice, of survival, of taking back control. You deserve to hear them, and I promise they're worth it. Today, Zion is 8 years old. He's happy, he's safe. He doesn't remember that cold night at the bus terminal. But I do. I remember the rain. I remember the desperation. I remember the moment I thought it was all over. And I also remember the moment I decided to fight back. We sold that house 6 months later. I couldn't live there. Too many ghosts. Jordan and I are still close. She visits every weekend. She's Zion's godmother now, the aunt who saved us. As for me, I started a foundation in Sterling's name. We help women and children escaping abusive family situations. We give them what I didn't have that night: a safe place, legal help, a fighting chance. Because no one should ever have to beg at an iron gate in the rain. I never got to say goodbye to Sterling. Not really. But I like to think he knows. Wherever he is. That I kept my promise. I didn't just take care of his parents. I took care of the truth. I took care of our son. And I made sure the people who destroyed him paid the price. Justice was served. Not just in a courtroom, but in a life rebuilt. A son protected. A legacy honored. That porcelain vase Zion knocked over, the one that started it all, I have it now. Celeste kept the shattered pieces in a box in the attic, probably planning to throw them in my face one day. I glued every single piece back together. It sits on my mantle. Broken, but whole again. Just like me.
Thank you for listening to my story, for being here with me through every twist, every betrayal, every moment of fear and triumph. If you believe in justice, if you believe in fighting back, if you believe that the truth always finds a way, then stay with me. There are more stories to tell, and trust me, you'll want to hear them. This is Amara, and this was the story of how I took my life back. See you in the next one.